for you are. Wander, worship, a joy of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come.
Thank you, Mel. The music you just heard, Come, Come, Whoever You Are, was adapted by from Rumi and was set to music by Lynn Ungar. She is the Director of Lifespan Education for the Church of the Larger Fellowship, the largest UU congregation. This is your invitation to settle in and prepare for our worship service. Please put your phones on silent or in airplane mode. This helps with to provide a more reliable internet signal to the folks who are watching at home or virtually. Please know that whoever you are, wherever you are from, whomever you love, wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to San Gabriel Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. Whether you are here in the sanctuary or watching at home, whether you are with us for the first time or for the 1000th time, we are glad that you are here. My name is Pat Berthold. My pronouns are she, her. I'm honored to serve as your lay leader this morning. I'm a longtime Unitarian Universalist, first attending a Unitarian Universalist church when my now 40-somethings were just toddlers. I've been a member of a few different congregations in Texas and California, and I've served in a variety of capacities. I was happy to find San Gabriel when we decided to make Georgetown our home. Currently, I serve on the membership team, and you'll often find me greeting you as you come in on Sunday mornings. San Gabriel is a member congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Association. We are a movement working for a just, peaceful, and sustainable world. Sustaining each other here in community is one part of that work.
Good morning. I'm Lara Via. My pronouns are she, her, or they, them. 2 weeks ago, I didn't come to church during the service when Sky spoke so eloquently. I was at home watching on my computer, and I was so impressed by her bravery to stand up and speak about such vulnerable topics. In my generation, when I was younger, we weren't empowered to speak about those things. At the same time as being impressed, I was struck by the visual of her, a young woman standing alone with no other women on stage. All the positions of power that day were held by men. And that is so often the case in our world, where the women do a lot of the invisible behind-the-scene works while the men do the jobs that get the credit and the pay. To his great credit, I brought this up to Eric, who agreed right away that we should do another service on the same topic. So welcome everyone to Women History Month service titled Women and Invisibility. Please join me as we recite the words to light our chalice. As we light the chalice, let us be reminded that each of us brings a separate truth here. We bring the truth of our life, our own story. We don't come as empty vessels, but as full people, each with our own story, our own truth. All manner of people are here. We all bring our truth with us. May we all recognize the truth and the stories in lives other than our own. May we all hear and honor the truths that we all bring as we gather together. Together we have truths, Together we are a community. Let us greet this day in song. All the music today has been written by women composers. Our opening hymn is One More Step, number 168 in the gray hymnal. The lyrics will be projected. Please rise in body or spirit as you are able. It's time for the Wonder Box. I think Eric is going to bring it up.
It's up.
Oh.
Over here. It's up.
Ah, it's already there.
I wonder why Eric isn't using the Wonder Box today. It might be that Eric got off of a 12 or 13-hour drive yesterday and didn't quite make it here early enough. But that's just speculation. I want to invite the kids up to come sit with me on the stage. I've got a special book that I got on my road trip. The words in this book were written by Amanda Gorman, our youngest ever American Poet Laureate. She's awesome. And we're going to sit and listen to this story together, all right? Can I get the wireless mic? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right, ready? Hey, can you guys gather around so you can see the pictures? I'm so sad for the rest of our audience you can't see these beautiful pictures. Let's try and see if we can do it. I can hear change humming in its loudest, proudest song. I don't fear change coming, and so I sing along. I scream with the skies of red and blue streamers. I dream with the cries of tried and true dreamers. I'm a chant that rises and rings. There is hope where my change sings. Though some don't understand it, those windmills of mysteries, I sing with all the planet and its hills of histories. I hum with 100 hearts, each of us lifting a hand. I use my strengths and my smarts, take a knee to make a stand. I'm bright as the light each day brings. There is love where my change sings. I show others tolerance, though it might take some courage. I don't make a taller fence. I fight, but fight to build a better bridge. I talk not only of distances from where and how we came. I also walk our differences to show we are the same. I'm a movement that roars and springs. There's a wave where my change sings. Change sings where? There, inside me, because I'm the change I want to see. As I grow, it grows like seeds. I am just what the world needs. I'm the voice where freedom rings. You're the love your bright heart brings. We are the wave starting to spring, for we are the change we sing. We're what the world is becoming, and we know it won't be long. We all hear change strumming. Won't you sing along? No, Oscar's not going to sing along. That's all right. Opt in and opt out. Thank you all so much. Will you come join me while I'm your DRE for today? All right, let's go.
All children and youth wishing to go to their groups are welcome to exit. Everyone else, will you join me in singing them out? Sometimes we are carrying something on our heart that can prevent us from being fully present. Here in this community, our sharing of these things with each other is medicine, is healing. Like all good medicine, it must be concentrated and potent. Please aim at 2 strong sentences. So if you're carrying a joy or sorrow or both on your heart, I invite you to share. In this time, while one of us is practicing the vulnerability of praise or grief, the rest of us are practicing the gifts of presence and deep listening. Now, can we bring Michelle Augustine to give us her testimony for the stewardship?
Standing before us, Unitarian Universalist Women in Social Reform. It's a good book, y'all. It's a big book. I was fascinated with this one. What women can do in uniting the culture and religious forces of society. Carolyn Bartlett, May 1894. She was a Unitarian Unitarian minister and civic reformer. She and other members of the so-called Iowa Sisterhood pioneered the concept of full-service church, with facilities and programs to meet a wide variety of personal, educational, and social needs. I was talking with some friends of the church here, and recently a friend said to me, "You know, we're a little church doing big things." And like you, I went, I kind of thought about that. Frank, are we ready for a slide? There we go. Thank you. So as I look back over the last couple years since we came out of COVID, I started to review some of the things that we've been up to. A lot of social justice items, and this is just a snippet of a few of the things. So recently we had the t-shirts, Vidas Robadas, the Stolen Lives. And that happened across the whole state of Texas. Those T-shirts were taken down to the Capitol in February as a demonstration to try to reduce gun violence, and you were a part of that. Then there's our annual MLK March. Our church, your church, takes part in that and proudly wears its yellow shirts on the side of love as we walk with others. Recently, we had the Ramadan Iftar dinner where we had our Jewish and Muslim friends here to build connections. We go down to the square and we rally for Move the Monument, Move the Confederate Monument, or we participate in other activities, again, wearing our On the Side of Love yellow shirts. One of the coolest things I think we're doing, I call it the little blue box. That little blue box outside by the street parking lot is our little food pantry. It started out as a little lending library, and it was the youth of this church that said during COVID, let's put food in there. People need food right now. And that concept has continued to this day with your support. But we also see other neighbors or people drive by and put food in, as well as we see people take out. Billy sees it, we see it, any of us here at the church. So it's been a wonderful little ministry of your church, our church. Little church doing big things. We have a big opportunity coming up for our little church, and that's our participation in the Red Poppy Festival, where we hope to march or walk. And again, we're asking you to think about joining us in that simple way. There's a sign up on the back to join us. And if you can, if your budget allows, wear a yellow shirt. For those of you who have kiddos, we are willing to pay for those kids' shirts so that you don't have to do that. We have funds for them. So I hope you'll consider joining us on the side of love. The theme for this year's Red Poppy is Love Where You Live. So we really fit very nicely. Next slide, please. So this church, your church, undertook a very big thing by agreeing to open its doors this winter and welcome those who were experiencing homelessness. You are allowing them to shelter in a safe, warm space. You not only did this once, you did it 3 times the shelter operated. What we did at this church, no other church in Georgetown could do as rapidly, as quickly. I made a phone call to Rob. Rob contacted the board, and within 3 hours, we had approval to open up the shelter within 2 days. A little church doing big things. Now, we could not have done that all by ourselves. You know, the other churches do have bigger spaces, but they also have more volunteers. So we called upon their help to supply volunteers. So along with ours, their volunteers, we checked in folks, we welcomed them, we provided meals, transportation to and from the shelter. Some stayed overnight, cooked and cleaned. It takes a lot. It took 30 volunteers. We housed 38 unsheltered people, our neighbors. Last week's children's story was about stone soup. Remember? So, we talked about the magic ingredient of that soup. The magic was sharing. And our kids during their RE time made stones for our soup. All kinds of stones to go in there. Sharing. Here, you shared the warmth, and you opened your doors, and you shared love. We even shared our knowledge of how to operate a shelter when we got a phone call from a big church in Taylor. St. James Episcopal called me, and they wanted to know, how do you do that? How do you operate that? What forms did you use? What do we need to know? So here we are, a little church helping the big churches. We can go to the next slide. When I'm asked to speak about homelessness in Georgetown, I lead with this question. Where are you sleeping tonight? Where are you sleeping tonight? That's the little blue button up there that I often wear. Where are our unsheltered neighbors sleeping tonight? Think about it. Being homeless is a condition. It does not define someone. And so, as part of our education and awareness and our social justice, we're learning to change our language and no longer say a homeless person. Instead, we'll use terms like unsheltered neighbor, unhoused friend, or someone who's experiencing homelessness. When you see these faces up here, notice they're faces of many ages, different backgrounds. And some of those who have been here at the shelter and those who were here yesterday at the shower day, you had an opportunity to engage with the humanity of folks. You heard their stories. You learned what they're wanting to do, their desires. You saw their humanity. And I say, how can we not recognize the inherent worth and dignity of each person? That's what my faith calls me to do. It's one of my guiding principles. That's why I pledge support to San Gabriel UU. So with my time, my energy, my passion, and my money, we can continue to do such work. To do this kind of work for a little church, it does cost money to do big things. And so I encourage you to remember our children's story. Give what you got. Put it in the pot. Big or small. It helps us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Now I hope to welcome Judy Hume, who will be performing our anthem, which is a song she wrote herself. It's called A Deeper Shade of Blue. Can you hear me? Yeah. Speak your truth, birthplace of voice can hide from you. It's your choice when the sky is falling, a deeper shade of blue, come into something that feels true. Running scared to please the crowd, and if you dare to speak up loud when the sky is falling, a deeper shade of blue, come into something that feels true. Lessons that were learned on barefoot wooden floors and the darkness on the edge of town. Taste that's in your throat and the burdens on your back, the magic's in your grasp. When the sky is falling, a deeper shade of blue, come into something that feels true. These veil of tears and broken dreams can feel like heartache, it seems, when the sky is falling, a deeper shade of blue, come into something that feels
lessons that were learned on barefoot wooden floors and the darkness on the edge of town. The taste that's in your throat and the burdens on your back, the magic's in your grasp. Sky is falling a deeper shade of blue. Come into something that feels true. Heading north, she clears her head, turns down the noise. She sings instead when the sky is falling. Deeper shade of blue. Come into something a deeper shade of blue. Come into something that's a deeper shade of blue. Come into something that feels true.
Oh, thank you.
So many times, women take care of the cooking, the cleaning, the diapering, the feeding, the remembering of birthdays and appointments, the buying of gifts, the buying of clothes, the scheduling, the chauffeuring, the planning of parties, the decorating for holidays, bedtime, bath time, wake up, middle of the night, nightmares, responding to meltdowns, being an amateur psychologist, and being the nurse. I could list a lot more, but I'm tired just saying all that. Many times women do these jobs not only in the home, but in other places we inhabit, like the churches, the schools, even the clinics, even businesses. Often women do this work. This is invisible labor that women do, and it's indispensable to our world, but it's often unpaid and unrecognized and definitely uncelebrated. I heard, I think it was last week on NPR, that if women's labor, women's invisible labor was monetized, it would comprise between 20 and 40% of our nation's GDP. It really struck me when Skye said, I'm probably going to get the words wrong, but something like, how many Einsteins are stuck at home doing dishes? So many times when we do try to steal a moment to study, create, read, or just rest, we are repeatedly interrupted because clearly what he is doing is more important than what we're doing. Why does this happen? Why is it okay in our society? Society starts teaching us to be women even before we're born. If you're expecting a girl, you're showered with pretty pink dresses and baby dolls. And boys are given sports jerseys and mini overalls. I can't count how many times someone said to me, little girls are so sweet, or so pretty, or so dramatic, even when my daughter was just an infant. And people said to me, little boys are a handful, or you have to watch out for that one, when my son was still in diapers. And the minute puberty hits, as a woman, you start experiencing that rite of passage. For all women, it seems, the catcall. If strangers have the right to appraise your body, then you learn that you are not safe and that you do not fully belong to yourself. Science tells us that there are indeed some statistical sex-based differences in temperament, but science also tells us that the individual differences vastly outweigh any that will be programmed by our DNA. The real harm, those kind of comments that people make, is they tell us who to be. Shouldn't that be something that we all decide for ourselves? When I started talking to people about having a day about women's invisibility, I got volunteers so quickly. I tried to talk to women of different generations so we can bring different perspectives. And all of these wonderful women up here agreed to speak. We decided to speak in birth order, hopefully to show some kind of progress. I don't know if we ended up really showing progress, but we definitely did show that we all have similarities in our experience based solely on being labeled women as our society. Pat, will you speak first?
Thank you, Laura. Feminism, the radical notion that women should have the same social, economic, and political rights as men. Wearing it proudly on my shirt. Over here. I would like to speak about some of the experiences that that have shaped me into being the person I am today. My focus is primarily on the things that happen because I'm viewed as female, not male, feminine, not masculine. After moving from a small oil field community in Saudi Arabia to the San Francisco suburbs just before 7th grade, and then switching to a different school after Thanksgiving, also in 7th grade, I became shy and withdrawn. 8th grade wasn't much better, and the local high school was overcrowded, so I persuaded my parents to let me attend the nearby all-girls Catholic high school. Going there allowed me to find my voice and develop my confidence in a way that I don't think I would have done in the overcrowded public high school. But don't get me wrong, I'm a staunch supporter of public schools. That was just the right place for me at that time. I became an adult during our country's transition from primarily stay-at-home moms, which became the de facto expectation after the GIs came home from World War II, to working moms being the norm. Can we do anything about the hum? Oh, okay. Women's expectations for how they should be treated were changing, and laws were put into place to protect the rights of women. Some of my experiences were not uncommon at the time they occurred, but they are not accepted, and in some cases, they're illegal today. During college, I was able to obtain some credit cards when I worked full-time one summer, and after we were married, I added Rob to those accounts. When the bills arrived in his name, I kind of wondered about that, and I discovered they had then become his accounts. One of my cards required me to go in person to the bank to add him. The teller who assisted me that day was a woman my brothers and I called Hair because her big bouffant hairdo was not a common thing in California, but to this day I still remember her. She refused to add Rob to my account, telling me that if I did so, I would lose my credit since married women were not allowed to have credit in their names at that time. As most other women have experienced, I fended off my share of unwanted attention. Sometimes there were situations that I just had to put up with because there was no way to say no. At my job in the 1970s, the other women and I often experienced our boss draping his arm off over our shoulder when he was looking over at our computers to review whatever we were doing. To be fair, he treated men the same way, but it was creepy and uncomfortable. And in today's workplace, this would not be tolerated. When interviewing for that same job, the district manager asked me, when would I be having children? I sidestepped the question with sort of a non-answer, and at the time, it made me furious. That was a question that a man would never be asked, and at the time, it wasn't illegal to ask a woman that. I bucked the trend, and I did choose to stay at home with my boys for several years. I did this partly because of my strong feelings I had about raising children, and also because we seemed to be on the 3 to 5 year moving plan. Every time I considered getting a job, we upped and moved again. In the mid-1990s, I had had enough of this, and I wanted to be paid for the work that I did. While looking for a job, I discovered that people discriminated against me in ways that I strongly believe had something to do with me being a woman and or being a stay-at-home mom. Employers I spoke to seemed to think that you discarded your brains because you stayed at home with your kids. People seemed to forget that while women stayed at home, we volunteered in classrooms and at nonprofits We ran the PTA, and we led scout troops. The first person who hired me when I returned to work told me that he was only interviewing me because my friend, who had let me know about the job, had told him that he should talk to me. 2 weeks later, in an abrupt change of attitude, he asked me to manage a department. During a job interview after we moved once again, I was asked if I had a high school diploma or a GED. I sidestepped that question by reminding the interviewer that I had a college degree. I didn't ask, but I wondered which they favored. And I wondered this because my mother had finished her education at night school after her father became ill and she had to go to work to support her family. Were you advantaged because you had the diploma, or were you advantaged for the case of the job because you had the hardship or just the change in personality or whatever it was to get a GED? And back in the day, it wasn't called a GED. Feeling overqualified and not wanting to work for someone who I, in the moment, perceived as discriminatory, I left that particular interview as quickly as it was politely possible to do so. Near the end of my career, I applied for an internal job change. After the interview process, one of the managers on the interview panel told me that we gave the job to James because he had a family to support. In 2012, I could have gone right to my union steward and filed a complaint. But knowing that I would be retiring in a couple of years, I chose not to. There are times when I wonder if that was really the right decision, if that was just a cop-out. But it is what it is. I was fortunate and had mostly positive experiences during my child-rearing and working years, as the many workplace laws protecting women were passed during that time. Also, women's reproductive rights were mostly protected. I say mostly because during the years when I stayed at home with our boys, one of Rob's employers did not feel it was necessary to provide maternity coverage as part of the company-sponsored health insurance. Another employer did not feel it was necessary to provide coverage for birth control. Health insurance for coverage for birth control, maternity, and newborn care did not become mandatory nationwide until 2010 when the Affordable Care Act was passed. Additionally, during my childbearing years, Roe v. Wade was decided, and it hadn't yet been stripped away. Today, options my generation had, and the care my mother received with a problem pregnancy in the 1960s, isn't available in Texas or in several other states. I'm also very concerned about the current attack on DEI, recognizing that diversity includes women, protections for women. Recently, Forbes published a list of the 197 words and terms that are being used to trigger reviews for certain grant proposals at the National Science Foundation and the National Institutes of Health. Female and women are included 7 times, male and man just 3. Uterus, pregnant, and breastfeed are included 6 times. DEI, or variations of diverse, are included 12 times, sex and gender 13 times. I'm afraid that the clock is being turned back and girls and women younger than me will not have the opportunities and the choices that I had.
So I'm Judy Hume, as you may already know from my singing, and I actually have a professional career. I own my own business, and I've owned it for about 30 years. I'm the boss. I have 2 employees, and I represent a factory, and the industry I'm in is primarily men, probably 99%. It's construction. And I often find during meetings, oh, we want this closer.
Safe for all of you to do that.
I should know this. I find in meetings where I might share an idea, and as the meeting goes on, a man will pick up that idea and not give me the credit for it. And it just irks me because I constantly will do that, like Sarah said, you know, and then make that point again. And I think it's really important that we lift women up, and maybe we do have to say what they said again, but make sure you give them credit. Also, I want to mention about beauty in the workplace. It feels like you have to be attractive, wear your makeup to get the job and to be listened to. I also feel like when a tall man walks into the room with a woman, or even a woman with color, we're going to automatically assume that he's in charge at a meeting. And I know within my own biases, I do that. And I just implore to you guys, when that happens, notice it. Notice it inside yourselves. You don't have to say anything, but just notice those biases and know that you want that change within yourself. And I think that's really how change can happen for us. And I'll stop there. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Candace White. I am working as the Director of Religious Education right now. Hold on, sorry. It's an email. It's asking if there's any way I could speak at the women's service this Sunday. But that's not for me. I'd have nothing to say. In my life or career, there's never been a day I've been discriminated against, and thankfully so. The only time I thought maybe was during Me Too. And I thought I'd never really dealt with sexual assault myself. Some things happened, but that's on me. Who else? I went on that date. I attended that rave. 90s TV taught it must be attention I craved. Yeah, at the concert, they molested my 15-year-old body, but if girls want to crowd surf, they pay the fee, sorry. Flashed on the way to that flute competition, cornered and ogled in the work freezer, wishing I hadn't been nice. It gave the wrong impression. It was my fault. It was never a question. So I'm grateful some women said, no, it's not you. Women deserve to exist fearlessly in these spaces too. It forced me to sit and really think about it. All of these instances I thought hadn't counted. I hadn't caused it, and I never allowed it. This shame, I should have lived a lifetime without it. Because even deciding to speak here today, I cried this morning, wondering what will they think, what will they say? But I want to stand up, call it out, and stand tall. Look at that. I guess I had something to say after all.
This is not my thing. Okay. I really don't know how you did this, Guy. All right. I was unsure until this morning if I would actually speak today. You see, I was taught from a very young age that girls are expected to keep sweet and stay silent, not to bring too much attention to oneself, to be aware of our surroundings and to hide away. There are many things I could speak on today, as I'm sure there are many things any one of you could share about your story. I was my mother's only daughter. I have two brothers, and their version of their childhood was entirely different than mine. You see, I am a survivor of childhood abuse, not just at the hands of one perpetrator, but many. My brothers never experienced the abuse. And I learned from a young age that men aren't the strong ones, that there is a strength and endurance. The times in my childhood, although rare, when I did find my voice and speak up, I was not believed. I was a not to be taken seriously little girl. So I endured for years in the shadows. I could speak on that experience, or I could speak on my experience as someone who first became pregnant at the age of 15 years old. And I was made to believe that it was entirely my fault. I could speak on my stillborn at the age of 15, the times when I told the male doctor that something was wrong, but I was not believed until it was far too late. I could speak on the fact that if my daughter experienced this today, she would not have the same rights or options that I had because of the overturning of Roe v. Wade. I could speak on the fact that I was not diagnosed with ADHD until my 30s because it was said to only affect young boys and presented so differently in girls. I could speak on raising a daughter in the world today, as I am the mother of 2 daughters and a son. I could speak on raising my children, each of them, to speak up, to fight gender norms, and to be individuals. However, the part that I would really like to highlight in today's service is on the reality that society's focus on gendered roles plays such a huge part in where we still are today. You see, I find feminist movements can often be anti-trans women. And I am here as the very proud mother of a trans daughter. Thank you. I am here with her permission to ask one question. After hearing all of today's stories from all of these brave individuals next to me, who would ever choose to be a woman? I challenge anyone who believes being trans to be a choice to ask yourself, would you choose to be invisible? Thank you.
There's this myth that women are supposed to compete with each other. Hello. Thank you. Behave. Okay. Restart. There's this myth that women are supposed to compete against each other, or we're supposed to hate each other, and that's not productive. This is a quote by my favorite artist, Mitski, in an interview. It's true. Women for centuries have tried to bring each other down for the sake of being the prettiest. I sit in my bed wondering why. Is it because they are simply more beautiful than me? And I bet you were feeling the exact same way when you were my age. That scary, awkward stage that could be so wonderful if only we weren't too scared to live it. There's this lyric by Leve that perfectly describes this feeling of being left out from her song, Letter to My 13-Year-Old Self. Is it supposed to be this echoing? Is it really echoing? Okay. I'm so sorry that they picked you last, that they try to say your foreign name and laugh. I know that you feel loud, so different from the crowd of big blue eyes and long blonde hair and boys that stare. But know that you'll grow up so tough and charm them, write your story, fall in love a little too, the things that you thought you'd never do. I wish I could go back and give her a squeeze, myself at 13. I want you to be what you wanted to be at 13. I want you to smile in photos, dance on sidewalks, and wear the clothes that you were too scared to wear. Life is this beautiful thing that you shouldn't bring yourself down for living. Bring other women up and have fun and feeling beautiful, and seek out the women who do the same to you. There's so much love and enjoyment in life that doesn't get lived because of the constant need to fit in and compete with other women. So I want you to give as many compliments as you can to as many women as possible. Call a few women and tell them they're amazing. Go dance on sidewalks or buy a dress that's too bold or too extra. Go have fun with life instead of worrying about being pretty, because you already are. Be who you wanted to be at 13.
Thank you, everyone, for speaking. It's hard to be not invisible, and y'all are amazing. I'm not going to talk long. I just wanted to say it doesn't have to be this way. We are fed this line that men are somehow naturally dominant, but why? And that storyline, I just don't buy it. Do you know in the natural world of animals, there are many examples where the females are dominant? I gotta look at my list. Elephants, honeybees, orcas, hyenas, lemurs, and bonobos are just a few. Do you know that bonobos are one of our nearest relatives? And the females are dominant, not because of size or aggression, but because of their ability to make and keep social ties. So it can be different. Why is it so hard to accept that it can be different when there was finally incontrovertible evidence that female bonobos were dominant? The reaction of the scientific establishment was, what's wrong with those males? It can be different, but it's so hard to be different when we're told for centuries that this is the way it is. But around the world, there have been many cultures that have been matriarchal and matrilocal. There have been women pharaohs, queens who ruled as kings. While ancient Athens was very patriarchal, Sparta wasn't. They existed at the same time. Even in medieval Germany and Europe, there existed Hildegard de Bingen, who, Tolly's laughing because she's my favorite. She was a woman composer and a doctor who lived her life solely without men in the year 1200. Indigenous civilizations in the Americas had much more egalitarian societies where women's jobs were not thought lesser than men. Many of them even recognized 5 genders, which were not assigned at birth and all equally honored. And did you know that the Talmud recognized 8 genders? But that's another talk for, for later, I hope. The American suffragettes, Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Matilda Joslyn Gage, were inspired by the Haudenosaunee culture. The Haudenosaunee are who we were taught to call the Iroquois. They had a quite egalitarian society where women held significant power and influence in governance, daily life, and negotiations. That's what was some of the main influence on our early suffragettes. Sadly, those Haudenosaunee women were not included in the vote. While I would never want to live in 20th century USSR, in some ways their women had more equality than we did at that time. USSR was the first country to legalize abortion way back in 1920. Also, women were in the workplace. They worked everywhere, factories, mines, even jobs like being a doctor or a professor. They were even surgeons. Even today, there are women in surgery is way underrepresented in our country. Interestingly, those women of the USSR weren't really happy with their position, or I should say not universally happy with their position, because they were robbed of choice. We didn't have a choice to be in the workplace, and they didn't have the choice to be home. Don't get me wrong, I don't want women to stop being carers and nurturers, noticers of small details, keepers of tradition, and bringers of beauty. Rather, I think it would be a wonderful world if we were all taught to be those things. The author and therapist Emily Nagoski has an analogy that really speaks to me. She says we're all born with a garden that is our body and our temperament. From the minute we're born, our family, friends, and society all plant seeds in that garden. If it's just a few bad seeds that are planted, they might not take root and grow, but if the seeds are planted often enough, they will grow and become the garden. It's up to us to become aware so that we can become our own gardeners. We must weed out the bad messages and ideas and plant new and better ones by listening, reading, and learning. And especially, we should be careful about the seeds we sow in others' gardens. We take an offering each week to sustain this spiritual home and to support the work of our fellowship. If you are visiting, we invite you to fill out a visitor card, which you can put in the plate or return to the visitor table in the back. For offertory music this morning is Now We Think We All Are God by Lara Via, performed by Jacqueline Karash. The offering will now be gratefully received. Thank you, Jackie. Sometimes we're called to add our voice to the chorus. Sometimes we are called to speak aloud the message resonating in our hearts. If you're called to reflect or express gratitude, please raise your hand for the microphone.
Hi, I'm Molly. I will confess I was asked to participate in this, and I said I am not qualified, and that has just been documented in full that I was not. What brave, brave women. I would also say to you guys in the room, we still love you anyway.
Hi, I'm Bill, and for the sake of some of the men, most of whom are in this church, we're not all like the sad thing we've heard. My grandfather worked for the Union Pacific Railroad in Idaho, and he did 3 other jobs so that he could send his daughters to college. That was back in the 30s. And my mother never spent time with me because I always had to be watched by, maids and other people. And she was a executive in the House of Stewart organization in the 1940s and 50s. And then she later helped my dad become a world famous sand painter, and she worked she worked for things like helping out the Tibetan refugees when they came to Idaho a lot. And she was not home a lot. She loved me, but she was too busy doing important things, and that's the way I grew up. And my wife and my daughters are the same way, and I'm 100% for it, and I hope that, there's a few of us out there.
Hi, I'm Billy, and ladies, I just want to say I admire your courage. I love and appreciate your stories. I'm sorry you're still fighting these battles, but boy, we're all with you. Thank you so much for this program this morning.
Hey, everybody. The only reason I'm speaking today is that there is one woman in particular who cannot speak today, and that's because she's been deceased for about 2 decades. My mother, Victoria Chandler, sang. She, in short, because of the sentence restriction, she was a pioneer in the homeschooling movement in the 1970s, back when it was illegal with the cops banging the doors down. My brothers would tell the story about that. She also was a survivor of childhood abuse by her biological father, the Chief Justice of the Minnesota Supreme Court, Peter S. Popovich, who was never punished. So corruption is real. So I say that today on her behalf, that things should be getting better, but sometimes we have to push a little hard.
As I hear all these comments, and I'm just overwhelmed, I have to say that I was brought up by a very strong-willed woman. I was never invisible, and that got me in a lot of trouble. And it's only in the last few years that I have learned to modify that visibility somewhat, that I do better in general, but never invisible.
Thank you for sharing. Our second hymn is Spirit of Life, number 123 in the gray hymnal. The lyrics will be projected. Please ride in body or spirit as you are able. Okay, now it's time for announcements, and we have plenty of them. First of all, Joan Douglas has handmade Easter eggs from Ukraine, 3 separate villages. She purchased these to resell for $3 each after church today and for a couple more Sundays. All proceeds will go to the person who was speaking 2 weeks ago about gathering food and clothing to send to Ukraine. Next, there's been a rise in anti-Semitism on college campuses, even at Southwestern University. Our Jewish friends from Havara Shalom are inviting us to view a documentary about this topic. The film, Blind Spot, will be shown at Southwestern on March 31st at 6 p.m. See the messenger for more details. There will be a social justice team meeting next Sunday, March 30th, after church. There'll be a salad potluck at the Fellowship House. There's also a Red Poppy Women Her Story Walk, which goes with our topic for today, on March 31st at 9 a.m. Learn about the women who made Georgetown known for the red poppies, and you can get yourself some free seeds as well. There's info on the bulletin board and in the messenger. Today is the last day to submit suggestions to the nominating team. Their job is to present a slate of qualified members to serve on the Board of Trustees for the following year. You will find a form in the seat back in front of you. Please take a moment to add names of someone you would recommend or volunteer yourself to be considered. My son, Tallest Phi, has an announcement. He needs help for a statistics experiment. It is easy, it's fun, it involves coloring for a few minutes, and he needs people between the age, well, older than age 60. So if anyone's willing, please find Tolly. Raise your hand. And I know this is a little breaking with the rules, but I'm going to have Rob come up here to make his announcement.
Thanks, Laura. I'm going to break the rules and use a few more than 3 sentences. I'm here to talk to you about the pledge drive. First of all, I need to say that as a tall man that walks into a room with a short woman, I am not always in charge. In fact, I'm not in charge most of the time. Just want to get straight on that. We're about 3/4 of the way through our pledge drive. So far, we've received 20-ish pledges totaling $54,000. There may have been a few more come in since I've looked, but anyways, for all of you who've turned in pledge cards or pledged online, thank you very much. The real reason I'm up here, though, is to point out that we have a problem with our online pledging. By a show of hands, how many of you have tried to pledge online? A few, okay. This weekend I became aware of this problem. We do have an online pledge form, and last week I sent out a letter to the congregation talking about the pledge. At the bottom of the letter there was a link that you could click on, and it took you to our online pledge form. And I tried it, and it works great. And when you enter your information on that, it populates a spreadsheet with your name, your pledge, all the information, and it will return a confirmation of your pledge. However, there's another link at the top of the letter that takes you to our online giving page, which is not our pledge page. So if you tried to make a pledge and use that link, we don't know about it. Also, on this, you may have seen this card, there's a QR code on here. This morning I tried scanning that. It also takes you to a payment page where you enter credit card information. That's also not our pledge page, pledge form. So if you've done either of those, gone to our online giving page or this one, and thought you made a pledge, I would invite you to either fill out another card and put it in the box and back, or go to the letter that I sent out last week, go to the bottom of the letter and click on that link, which will take you to our online pledge form, and re-enter your pledge. That way we have a record of what you've pledged. This problem is a breakdown in communication for which I have to take responsibility. I'm working on fixing it. And that happens, yeah. Anyway, thank you very much, and thank you for your support. And if you haven't pledged yet, please do so. We need to hear from all of you.
As that small woman who isn't afraid to take charge. It's time for us to do our affirmation. We're going to do it a little bit differently today. We're going to recite it together. So if you'll recite it with me, the words should be projected. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with one another. And if you'll join me in reciting the words to extinguish the chalice. The chalice is extinguished, but its light lives on in the minds and the hearts and the souls of each one of us. Let us carry the flame with us and share it with those we know, with those we love, and most especially those we have yet to meet.
May the voices of women be heard and valued. May their strength and resilience guide us in forming a more just and equitable world.